I believe. Let me check and make sure we got all. Yeah, looks like we're
Live.
on all platforms and all. Let me make sure I got my mic on the right microphone. How's everybody doing today? All right. Hello? Check. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. You're good.
Can you tell the difference when I switch over? Anyway, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to Creative Tech. Today's show sessions. We're going to be talking about mastering time. And we don't have any topics in the description because we were kind of slacking and last minute here getting around to today's show. We've been thinking about it over last week, but it's been kind of a hectic week. So again, these are the struggles that we go through as we're developing a community. And let's go ahead and bring this music down here because I hear that's going up over there. We go. So yeah, Will's not with us today. He's off doing a shoot this week, and but we do have some updates on some of the projects that he's worked on when we get to that portion of the show. But yeah, we thought, with where we are right now, with getting everything lined up, with all the different brands that we work with, and as we're creative techs wanting to better our abilities to work better as individuals and collaborate better with others, we are doing this show and effectively creating a community that we believe will help us in all the things that we're doing right now. So plus we want to have a YouTube channel. We want to make awesome content. How can we get behind something that gives us all that? Here we are. So with me today, we have our co-host Cole Chase here. How you doing today, Cole?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
You having a blessed day?
I am. And, it's even nicer because I have the whole house to myself for this weekend. I had kids on Thursday that had to get up Friday morning and send them off to school. But ever since then, it's been me at the house with just me and my puppies. The wife is in Cancun right now with her girlfriends. And as I understand it, your woman is not around either, is she?
Yeah, she's in Puerto Rico for the next, I want to say 8 days. She's actually down there with my mom. They're doing a little bit of wedding planning as well as catching up with her family. And yeah, just having a good time. So it is so nice to have the house to yourself, especially when you're like us, always busy, always have something to do. And there's always someone in the back of the mind like, hey, time to spend some time with me. And it's like, no, we got work to do. So I'm glad we're able to have this time a little bit away and get some work done. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. And all I'm going to be doing this weekend is working on getting caught up. I got so much data from all the years since 2019, having these, full frame cameras. I probably have around 8-9 terabytes of just shit to go through and organize and blah, 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 which isn't that big. Like it's fun, but anyway. So what are we going to get out of today's show? Today's show, what we're going to talk about, why we're choosing time management. Because right now, like we were just talking about, time's crazy. We have all these other brands we're working with, and we need to effectively understand where we're going. And as a creative tech, we know we live with intent and we design the life we want to live. And as we design that life, we need a sure way to ensure that we are just on top of things, and knowing all the things coming up in life is very difficult. I know that I struggled working with calendars and through my mid 30s, and then finally in my 40s, I'm like, you know what, we really got to get this down. And I'm starting to understand the benefits of truly living through your calendar. And again, I wish I would have grown up somewhere where I had a mentor or somebody showing me these things since I was a little kid. Cole, you had more structure growing up. How do you use calendars fairly religiously, do you think?
So I'll say at the 9 to 5, I'm using Teams 100% of the day. I'm usually, yesterday when I was at the gym, I was sending calendar invites for a 9:30 meeting, a 1:30 meeting, because I got an email at 8 a.m. like, hey, what's the status on this? So I did schedule a couple of meetings, and that's how my organization works, is 100% through Teams for meetings. And then, obviously if you're on site, we have different conference rooms you can book out. But yeah, I would say, I'm 100% Teams. And then kind of in my personal life, with my family, we have a Google Calendar that we use. So it isn't really integrated with the two. However, I can't really bridge that gap with my organization to actually get them to, add a Google Calendar. There might be a way to actually do that. Maybe there is a way to sync calendars through Teams and Google. Maybe not. Haven't looked that far, but I like using Teams especially for the workplace, and then having that Google Calendar for personal items is really nice. So I kind of need to mix it too.
Yeah, it's not so much about the platform; it's just having one. I think what really intrigued me with what you said there is that we have a family calendar, and that tells me, I guess, this is something your parents have been doing forever.
Yeah, it's actually my mom has it set up. She's got pretty much my immediate family and then some cousins, just because we have a lot of family in Texas, and then my fiance's family is in Puerto Rico. So there's just a lot of different things coming up that we're trying to schedule together, and having that Google Calendar. I usually check the Google Calendar and make sure I don't have anything too. I even have a physical calendar that my fiance uses a lot, but I'm like, hey, you got to throw it on the Google Calendar because I need it in one spot. So actually getting everything in one place is really important to make sure you can stick to it. Because I remember you had, unforeseen scheduling conflicts the other week, and you were like, oh, I even had both of them in my calendar. So even if you have things set up in your calendar, it doesn't always work that way, but that's why having it is really important.
Well, life is a practice, and it's like a muscle. Like, yeah, even if you do what you're supposed to do, things are going to happen. There's going to be overlap. And where I failed at that 1 o'clock, where I had to have, hey, wife, go do this so I can do that, or hey, let's push this back an hour, or whatever it may be. Because I think, was it last week that we had to do the show early because I had to leave? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think so. We pushed it to we pushed it up to 11. It ended up working out, so.
Yeah, I think we had a good show, everybody, because we've been practicing for a while. Now, if this was the very first show that we were ever going to do, sessions probably would have ended right then and there. But because we had a few under our belt, and we know we're being consistent, we really want to try this. The people that were like, oh, we've been playing for 1 o'clock. I'm in the middle of yard work, this and that. Like, I have things to go do. Like, everybody was like, oh, yeah, let's make that happen. We can do that. And maybe even down the road, if I'm not here because of some kind of conflict or whatever, somebody else can take over. But the point of all this is that it's not just having a calendar, it's living that calendar. How many families have a family calendar, but every time something big comes up, they don't use it, and they're that black sheep of the family that just is so difficult to work with because they won't work with the way we all work. So whenever they have an event, they're like, hey, why are you going to this event with me? You're not using the company, the family calendar. Like, you're not communicating the way we all communicate. So finding a central way for everybody to communicate the same way and manage time the same way is very difficult.
Absolutely. But, that's why having, technology has evolved. I don't even know if I'm considered a millennial. I can't remember. But, I kind of grew up during a lot of the tech wave coming up. I remember getting my first was it Nintendo SP Plus? Like, even just having those gaming devices, and hearing my dad talk about like, oh, I used to play with rocks and sticks as a kid. And there's only a 20-year difference between us. So it's just crazy to see how things have evolved, things such as scheduling, calendars. There's so many different apps out there like Google Calendar. You have your Microsoft Teams products. You also have, different things out there such as Notion, which I'm using for my own personal brand for creating videos, and I have a schedule on there. However, these are all just different tools, but like you mentioned earlier, it's all about sticking to it and having a process. And if you stick to it, that's what's important. It doesn't matter what program or what app you're using. It's all about making sure you stick to a system and live through that.
Oh, absolutely. So before we go any further, let's take a moment to catch up. What's been going on with you and your projects? I know that, work-wise, you're doing good at your job. I'm sure you got your internal objectives there, but what objectives do you have outside of your work right now in your personal life that you're doing? What are some of the projects that you have that you're working on?
So kind of what I mentioned in a couple of the past episodes is I'm starting to create my own brand. So having a YouTube channel where I'm uploading content around things that interest me. Yesterday I was filming some videos for a new camera I just got a new Sony ZV-E1. And for me, that's like a piece of equipment that's going to enable me to do more. And I know there's such a negative connotation with, just purchasing gear. Like, oh, if I buy this one more piece of equipment, I'm going to have everything I need. So for me, it was like making sure, I'm not just going to buy this camera and then it's going to sit on the shelf. But yeah, I'm working on a lot of personal videos. I did quite a few different unboxing videos for the Sony ZV-E1 and pretty much all the accessories I got for it. So yeah, I have a video coming out tomorrow morning about the Sony ZV-E1 unboxing. And then I have some more content, bi-weekly is what I'm shooting for. If some of this content I can get out sooner, maybe I'll release something a little early. But another thing too is like getting the social media content as well. Just having it on YouTube isn't really enough. You need to kind of focus on TikTok, Instagram, that vertical content. So for me, it's like creating that, system for creating the long form and the short form content. So yeah, I've been working on quite a few different things, shot content for 4 or 5 different videos, and now I'm just trying to piece everything together. But yeah, I'm really excited for tomorrow's video and the future uploads I got coming up. What's with you?
Well, yesterday, I believe, let me get my screen prepared. I want to share this a little bit. We had our latest video release. This is done through Kind of Facts and Rigid 6 production. I know we had Spencer Classic help with a portion of this as well, but there's a band named Naverly, and they're kind of a young punkish type band. Here, let me share my screen. Oh, there we go. Whoa, what's that? Nope. There we go. Wait. I guess that's the best we can do. Is that the best we can do? I know we have more views. I need to work on these views here. Give us a better dynamic look here where we can see us better. But anyway, yeah. What am I doing? I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, see his video.
Yeah, let's go check out. First of all, I gotta find the damn thing. So let me switch to create. I don't even know where I'm going.
It should be in your likes, right? You just gotta go right to your liked videos. It's gonna be right there.
Yeah, like I have I even done that yet? Let's just type in Naverly. There it is. Our first one that pops up. This is the band here. Let's go ahead and subscribe to them because we want to show them some love, and we should go ahead and hit the like button on here. Get in trouble for not doing so. It's got 125 views on day one, a little different than Enemy, who got over 10,000 their first day. But again, much smaller team or band, still very young and moving up. So it's exciting stuff. But basically, Will said he had this idea of having a cool video shot where, there's a lot of local Dayton shops like this here record store, the coffee shop, and other places that you'll see, the parks, all the places that you see this couple, they went through and shot all these scenes in local Dayton fashion. So the opening to the video, I'm not I feel like it's a little bit drawn out, but I'm not the one with creative, I'm not the creative director on this one. That's between the label and the director, Will. So, but still a great video.
And
I don't know if you can hear that.
No, we
can't. I don't
can't.
know if anybody can hear this.
That's okay. We might get copyrighted, so.
Well, yeah, that's true. And again, we're not monetized or anything at that level. Again, we're still growing our platform, but this is just showing you guys a video.
This video, I know you helped out on it. What was your role in this video? I knew you helped out on it. So
yeah, so basically, the gear, we rented an FX3, but any of the lenses that were used, the lighting. Now the local shops, I wasn't there for that shoot for that day. That was, like I said, Spencer was the one that does the lovey-dovey romantic, type works or whatever. But this scene right here with the band, if you look, you see the 2 aperture bars on the left and right here. We had this big cover, like this shelf that just had all this junk on it over here to the right. Had all this stuff on it, like, music equipment, things of that nature. They put this black blanket over and just looked very bare. We had the room bright still. I was like, why don't we just stick a couple of the tube lights there as practicals in the shot? That will help distract it from that. And I think it looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. What was your favorite part about working on this project?
Just watching the young musicians, because, bands are weird, musicians are weird in their own right. In a good way. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
But just watching them in their element and seeing their excitement because they're still young in their endeavor, and they know they're good, and they're doing. You can see the confidence that they know what they're doing, and that's nice to see that confidence in a young band that is, they're evolving, they're learning, and I really feel like it ended up being a good representation of the band. It meets their style. I thought this needed to be very light. And they showed me a few screenshots from like these scenes here. When you look at them, this is very bright. So when we did the shot with the band room, where's a good shot with the whole band? There we go. So when we were doing these shoots here, I was like, this needs to be golden and warm and bright, and getting the right angle, all that stuff, And again, Will's the creative director on this, but my favorite part, I would say, is just, because I'm a musician at heart, and the kind of content that we're making is more geared around, corporate type stuff. That's what we're aiming for on the business side. These are passion projects that we're able to do to help showcase to the commercial. Because again, Rigid 6 is still in its early development, just like the creative tech is in its early development. I core my business to the technology company. It may be managing 30 plus companies, the MTP, and doing all this amazing stuff, but it's still in its infancy. We don't even have a website yet, for Christ's sakes. I want to see where we're all going to be at in 10 years with the aspirations and everything that we got going. So enough of the sharing for now. Let's go ahead.
While we're on the topic of that video, one of the topics for today's video is communication. And as someone who has shot music videos, and especially now that you're shooting with the band, you got multiple people. Did you notice like there's anything you could have done better on a communication wise, just getting everyone on site at the right time, or did things kind of go pretty smoothly for that?
There's always kinds of things that are tied to that, and I'm not the producer. I'm not the one that's running the show. I have some more like a glorified grip that is respected and can give feedback and help direct things. But I would say this is all just for fun.
Yeah.
I really feel like, your question again was around communication. So what was your question exactly?
Just working on this passion project. As someone who shot music videos, musicians, they aren't always the most responsible people because they're usually younger and they're trying to figure out their own things in life.
Oh, that's true. But when it comes to a music video, like you're very right. You'll have usually a musician that has a messy room and they're not really taking good care of themselves and this and that. But when it comes to their music and the video they're making, like they take that, oh, you need to go to this job interview. And they're like, well, yeah, I'll fucking get there 15, 20 minutes late, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to their music video, they're like, oh, I'm here, I'm on time, I'm ready. Like, and for a band that's at this level, all these guys know that they're part of a group that's really, talented, and they all are excited to be there. So you really don't have to with these guys. And Will did most of that discussion. So I have a ton of problems working with leaders, like in a business. Yeah, communication could be. You shouldn't have that perspective that a band it would be that bad, because I'm telling you right now, most companies, even the company you work for right now, I guarantee we can go in there and see that these guys are probably more professional and apt in certain areas than others. So again, that's a tough one, but no, these guys were on top of it. They were excited and they were prompt, and they seemed to know their stuff. We didn't have wait time for anybody or anything like that. That wasn't expected. I know somebody had to do something for church, and this was shot on a Sunday, the small room with the band, and we had to wait for them to get back from church because they are a musician for the church or something like that. But nothing like, oh, that person's running so late and now we got to hold up or change our whole. We didn't run anything like that. No.
Oh, awesome. Good to hear. I was just trying to see, since we did take a look at that video, if there's any lessons learned from it, as far as, I know you said it's a passion project, so it's not necessarily a core group where you do have all these systems in place. I was just curious to see, how things kind of crossed over between the two. And it seems like you weren't necessarily the one facilitating the communication there. You were just, like you said, a grip and someone to lean ideas off of. You provided gear. So that's really exciting. But yeah, let's dig into today's topics.
Yeah. So, first of all, I want to go ahead and dive in I want to talk a little bit more about the focus itself, mastering time. when we talk about mastering time, we are talking about to truly live with intent. And as we figure out what the definition of a creative tech is, we know that anything you do, there's one resource, there's one currency that is very hard to come by, and it's very limited, and you can't buy extra of it. Money won't fix it, and that is your time. How you spend your time is the most crucial part of anything in life that you do. So this is a pretty heavy topic, really, and we're almost 25 minutes into the show yet, and we're still talking about we haven't got to introduction, catching up, focus, and now I'm just talking about focus, and here it is at this time. So we are still learning an agenda. We even talked before the show, are we going to change? Let's stick to the agenda now. We didn't have time to create the agenda before the show, so I'm kind of going off the top of my memory. I know that 5 minutes is the intro, 5 minutes for catching up, and we are now going to talk about the focus, and it's 1:23. So again, not an issue. It's just you have to know and understand where you're at. And I could freak out and be like, oh, screw it, we're not doing the show because nothing's prepared. No, you even when we did the description, I was like trying to figure out, and you said communications being one of the topics. Well, I took that out as we were right before we started the show, saying communications is just like collaboration. Collaboration is communication. So that's too much overlap. I don't want that as a topic. Then I said, you know what, screw it. We got to start the show. The show's what's important right now. Getting on here and having that hour discussion to show everybody where we are, to let them see where we are right now. So next week when they see us, they see that delta, and they look 10 weeks from now, they're going to see even a better delta. So for me, I know the important thing is just getting on the show and making the best of what you can. Stick to the script the best you can. You don't have an agenda laid out for today, but you have an agenda that's kind of standardized. So all I'm getting at is time is very difficult. And if you run out of it, it's not like I could have said, hey, you know what, Cole, you know what? I know it's going to cost us a little extra money. Let's go ahead and put $20 into it so we get an extra half hour. So that way we can start on time today. Not going to fucking happen. So how is it that we get good at being ahead of it, leaning into it, and being in control over it, instead of it pulling us and jerking us around, putting us where we have no control over it because we're being, oh, this is on fire. I'll go put that out. Oh, now this objective is needing this real quick before it can move forward. Oh, let me do that real quick. And then now this is breaking a leak over here. All of that shit. Like, if you can just stop all of that, and even though the mess is going to continue, and get a good strategy holistically laid out and just start working that plan, to not like, it takes time. It's slow. But if you get good at planning and designing, you can do so much more. So that's what the focus is today. How do we lean into it? How do we grab the reins to take control of all of our objectives, of all of our, whatever it is we're doing, whatever initiative it is.
So you kind of talked about time, and that is one thing you'll never get back. That is the most important thing. And that's kind of what I've realized, in my current career path, and just what I want out of a job is something that is going to be my main source of income, but it's also going to be, my main time commitment outside of the things I want to be doing. So for me, it's me right now, I'm still trying to establish exactly what I want out of my 9 to 5, which is turning into more of like an 8 to 8. So for me, I'm trying to pull back the reins on that to get it to the point where I can control the time that I'm putting into that, so that we can have time to do stuff like this. Because I've realized that, more and more over time is that the time I'm spending doing things that I don't necessarily want to be doing, I'm not going to get that time back. And if the benefit to me doesn't outweigh, the payoff of giving part of your life, what can I do to make it so that this is the lowest time commitment, so that I can spend time doing this show, so we can have an established structure better. And I think you've kind of gotten that down, and I'm really envious, because you have, even just talks we've had offline, you have your day set up. You work from, I don't know the exact hours, but I know you put in, 3 hours or so in the morning, and then you're able to do a few things you want to do. You come back to it in the afternoon, then you're able to pivot to something else. Whereas me, I'm a little more tied down. So we have two totally different scenarios here, because you have, you're running your own company. So there could be times where you're working, the entire day on a fire that you're trying to put out. So having the systems in place, having the the expectation of what the time commitment is really important. So for me, that's one thing I'm really working on right now is what can I do to get certain aspects of my life to take less time so that I can focus on the things that I want to do, because at the end of the day, you only have your own goals to focus on. And that's what's most important. If that's your family, spending more time with family, spending more time putting out live streams like this, quality live streams. It's just really setting what's important in your life and then trying to build your time on it. And that's why having collaboration and, we talked about scheduling and calendars, like that is all very important, because if you're not able to stick to that and you have some overlap there, it really will just end up eating away at your life. And you'll wake up 5 years from now and be like, oh, what did I do spending all that time on something, doing somebody else's dream when you should have been chasing yours. So yeah, I'm really envious of, the conversations we've had and how you're able to actually set up your time commitment. So I'm to hear how you have your, your scheduling, because I think that is really important. You don't work a 9 to 5, you're your own boss. So you have a little more freedom than, 90% of people. But I think there's a lot of people like myself that can learn from you and how you've set up your schedule to actually, get the goals and accomplishments that you want to get done. So,
yeah, I mean, it all comes down to how do you start laying out your days? How do you start planning your weeks? There's a few things that you have to, I call it qualifying. When there's a something that comes into our service desk, technicians, a few years ago, they were like, I'll deal with it the best I can, or I'll just give this to the main tech because he takes care of everything. I don't even know who does what, like I don't know what to do with this thing. And as we built the MTP, the structure out, now we have objectives versus matters. Matters are things that a technician can take care of, doesn't need an account manager involved with it. It's usually a tier 1 issue, meaning it's only affecting that one person, and there's a workaround of some sort. So they can, the person can keep working while the technician figures out the problem and fixes it. We call those matters, okay? There's all kinds of, a matter equivalently is a task. And then anytime something comes in, because technicians deal with matters, account managers deal with what we call objectives. Somebody needs to add a new service, or somebody wants to, set up a new user, or like a whole new team in their environment. Adding a new user, that's just a matter. We have a bunch of users already. All we got to do is add a new user. Well, there's a platform for that, or a system for that. Put them through that system, add them. The technicians can handle. That's a tier 1 matter technicians can deal with. When it becomes an objective, meaning there's, let's say they're onboarding a new domain or something like that, and we have to set up a domain controller. We got to get all the users set up to do, there's multiple tasks within that project. So the way the terminology that we use is there's multiple matters inside of that objective. And if there is a project inside of our ticketing system, we have the technicians will have the objective in the ticketing system. And when we create a matter to assign to a technician for that project, the ticket system has a spot for project. We choose what project that matter is tied to. So if I ever want to look and see what all tickets that our technicians have done that are related to a project, all I got to do is search for that project, and it shows me all the matters that they worked on for that matter. So objectives, in the sense of a creative tech, in our little brand bubble that we're building here, and like Cora and Rigid, everybody I work with, I'm getting them to start using objectives as a pipeline in their business. So objectives is a way, like every company, even the business you work within, like that training video that you did for them, that to me is an objective to get something done. They had the objective of saying, hey, everybody make this video. Wasn't it like a contest or something like that? Or what did they do?
So for that, we were releasing a new tool, and we were just trying to think of a better way to get apartment-wide adoption of the tool. My company is always creating different new tools. We have, I think, somewhere around 10 to 15 full-time software engineers developing software to increase our workflow, make us more efficient. So for that, we're always rolling out new tools. They set up a 15-minute micro lab is what they call it, to kind of do a quick introduction of the tool. They'll see, for the first day, there's 50% of users are trying it out. And then they see just such a steep drop off of certain tools because nobody wants to take the time out of their day to learn something new that could potentially save them time. But then, another part of it too is, if you're spending time learning something, it's taking away from the billable work you're working on. And someone like me, we released a tool called Circuit Pro, which is a power circuiting tool for Revit. So essentially, you place a light fixture, you need to circuit it to a panel. That panel gets circuited to something else. So that tool was supposed to increase workflow, but every time I use it, I run into issues. So I'm always the biggest hater of it. So for me, when we released this new tool called Distribution Builder, I thought I see the value in the tool. And I was like, what is the best way to let people know this tool's out, show them the potential time savings instead of just doing kind of like a boring tutorial video? Because like to get someone to spend 10 minutes and watch a tutorial that's just like a screen recording is really difficult. But if you can create a 30-second video that doesn't necessarily show how to use the tool, but it explains the advantages such as the time savings, you're going to get someone more willing to spend the time to learn the tool and actually start using it. So for me, I just kind of noticed, we would have these, I call them boring, they're boring micro labs. Someone's sharing their screen and showing how to use a tool. That's not going to get me interested. But if you put it together, like here's how to save 3 hours of design time in 30 seconds, that's something I'm going to click on. So for me, it's like, how can we create, a quick short video that explains, all the usefulness of the tool? Because actually showing it on a screen in a digestible format is a lot easier to pick up than if you just say, hey, this new tool, we send out a Teams announcement. Hey, this new tool is out. It's going to save you 6 hours. But it's like, okay, show me how. So having that video kind of, it showed a sped up version side by side of, doing it one way as opposed to the new way. It showed the time savings, it illustrated it, but it was also something that you could digest in 30 seconds instead of spending 15 minutes watching someone share their screen, waiting for something to load, all those kind of things that just really distract. Like if you click on something, you're watching a tutorial, someone clicks on something and it takes 10 seconds to load, your attention span is going to be gone because you're going to see a bubble that's just loading on your screen. You're like, okay, I'm going to go look at something else. So creating, something that is digestible and actually shows the advantages was really useful for us for that tool. And we were actually able to get more department-wide adoption of it. So yeah, that was one of the things that we worked on. And
I hope you can see where that objective of you. So to me that and thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
But essentially where I was going with this is that you have an objective. Your company is like, we have this new tool. It can save us money. We invested money into this tool, right? And time is money. So if you master your time, guess what else you're mastering? So essentially, they're like, this new tool could save time, save money. We've invested money into it. We need to get in. And the longer it takes for them to adopt it, the more money we're going to be throwing away, essentially. So if we find a way, and here you come up with this nice little way that they actually were like, oh, there's some value to that, because it's going to get people to see and want to learn and adopt this tool even sooner. And another way to get adoption moving quicker is just cut off the old tool that they had, or limit the restriction, or make it super slow. That will get people moving to it quicker. But essentially all you're doing is objectives for time. Like everything we do, every project we do, every matter that comes across our plate, every objective comes across our plate, all these are to, I guarantee it equals down to time, because something about it is giving us time, whether it's getting that railroad built or building that building over here quicker so we can get people in there sooner. It's all about time. It's getting it done. And how do we all this look at this massive world? Take a look at a picture of a city and just imagine all the people and all the computers and all the offices and all the just the mass amount of data flowing through a city. And all those people are syncing and working in unison to some degree. And the more efficient and the more self-aware we become, the tighter that tip looks. It's crazy to me how people don't grasp all of this, and they just go through life blindly, not knowing what they want to do with their life, not knowing truly who they are themselves. I see people in their 40s or 50s in that limelight in a leadership position, but there's, it's so your time on this planet You get one human experience. I mean, sure, if you believe that you're going to have multiple instances where there's this place afterwards, like, I'm not talking about religion here. I don't want to get into that can of worms. I'm talking about YOLO, make it the best experience you can. And if you think just sitting back and waiting for something to happen is going to give you that amazing experience, you're fucking stupid.
No, definitely.
You have to. There's people that wait for things to happen. There's people that make things happen. Don't be the former, because if you are, you're more along the lines. You're going to fall into depression. You're going to fall into not being happy. You're going to start resenting everything and everyone around you because everybody else is living and you're not. And you'll see people like that. And when you see somebody upset like that, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what caused them to get to where they're going to. You know, all the time I see people road raging. I used to be one of the people that would just get pissed off because someone did something stupid. But anymore, you know, I've seen way too many stories where I've had it happen to me so many times where I've gotten pissed off at somebody and didn't realize, and because I act like an asshole, I either made myself look worse and didn't let whatever I was being shitty about, like that. Usually when I'm shitty about something, I like to think it's justified, but even then you're still being a shitty person. Do you want to be a shitty person? All I'm getting at is there's happiness in having comfort and knowing what's coming. And if you can design it, there's always going to be shit thrown at you, a pandemic, an earthquake, a war. You can't control these things. So when you learn to control the things you can control, that's power. That's huge. And your calendar, well, guess what? It's just like your house. If you own a house, if you've busted your ass and you have your own mortgage, you don't have an apartment with a bunch of people living around you that you have to adhere certain rules to, like you get it when you truly own your own and have autonomy. There's a certain confidence and certain freedom in that. And your calendar, you know, are you being pulled in every direction? Is your calendar, like, if I go look at your calendar right now, like, I know a lot of people don't have a calendar set up, but if you did have your life on a calendar, is it you being pulled in all directions because you got to go to work at your fast food joint because you have to make money because of your kid? Like, everything in your life that you've done, I'm thinking of somebody that has low income, a single mother or father trying to make ends meet, and how are they going to get on top of anything? How are they going to get their life back if they are being pulled in every direction? They can't get ahead of it because life is pulling. Like, yeah, be careful of the responsibilities you take on, unless that's really something that you want to be involved with. That's time. When I think about time management or mastering your time, I'm not talking about just at work and getting good projects. I'm talking holistically.
Yeah,
work and life,
all aspects of your life. You and I have such a different personal life too. I mean, you have 6 kids. I have 0 kids to worry about. So my time is spent doing different things than yours. But when you get to the point where you are and you have those kids that are relying on you, then you also have a responsibility to show them the right way, you know, telling them exactly, you know, giving them the guidance, like you said, that you didn't necessarily have. Whereas me, I had quite a bit of guidance. You know, my parents are business owners, so they just have a different mentality than most of, like you were talking about, like, I just need to go to my job and I'm just going to coast, do all this. Like, I've seen them, you know, especially as a kid, like when business isn't doing well, they're struggling. How are your parents reacting to that? Are they sitting at home and you're like, oh, we don't have work, we're just going to sit here? No, they went out and made it happen. So seeing that and surrounding yourselves by other people that are also living the same way you want to is really important. And that's why I want to plug joining the Facebook group. You know, surrounding yourselves with people like Joseph and I and anybody else that joins the group. We're all passionate individuals looking for that next step in our life. What is the next goal? What is the next achievement? Like, what are your 5-year goals? I've done over the years as a creative or as a professional, you know, I've been in interviews, and one of the most questions are, what is your 1-year plan? What is your 5-year plan? What is your 10-year plan? And the goals I've had for those, even from when I started 3 years ago as opposed to now, are the same. Those goals have not changed because I know exactly what it's going to take to get there and what is going to come out come out of it, of doing it. I want to own my own business one day, whether that's as an engineer of record, like that is one of my goals. And I see that as my path to taking control of my time, setting my own schedule. But a lot of that too is like, there's certain expectations as someone who isn't a business owner now that I'm not going to realize they're going to take more of my time. I'm sure you've spent countless hours developing the iCora group, essentially, from where you started by going to school for, what was your, I know you went to what, ITT Tech? Was that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I went to the glorious ITT Technical Institute.
And what was your first job out of there?
Well, I worked with it wasn't really a job. I was working factories and things of that nature when I was going to school. But my first job into like a technical role,
as a professional,
they had a board posted at ITT Tech, and there would be job postings on there for any projects going around the city that they would come and hire kids going to ITT Tech because they might be good. Anyway, Fifth Third Bank, or no, Bank of America was purchased by U.S. Bank, I think. I don't remember what bank. It was a bank bought by another bank. We had to take all this small office from this bank and drive it all up to Polaris. Where's that big, huge building in Polaris, that bank? What bank is that? Is that Chase? I think it was Chase, actually. It's Chase. Chase bought Bank of America, yeah. Chase bought Bank of America. We had a bunch of different because Bank of America was pretty big. Chase is huge, so we had to go and grab all the equipment from the little offices of all the Chases, bring them to the main huge campus, which was Chase, and set up the new people that were not going to be working at these little offices anymore. They're going to be working at the big building.
And I'm sure during that first experience, you get a glimpse of what it looks like to work as a professional. And I'm sure a lot of the experiences you had in that first job helped develop you as a professional and as an individual too.
Yeah, dude, listen. That first job, I met a guy named Sam Byler. He was an Amish guy that lived up near where I lived. I drove an hour and a half to school 3 times a week. And this Amish bastard was doing the same damn thing. He lived in a little town called Ridgemont or something like that. And basically, he signed up to be on this thing as well. And he had his own little side hustle while he worked for UPS, where he wanted high-speed internet at his house out in the middle of nowhere. So to get high-speed internet, he'd put these little radios on his antenna outside of his house. And he went to a grain leg in a little town called Mount Victory, just south of Kenton. And in that little grain leg that was about 75 feet high, he put this antenna up there, some pretty high-end, high-grade internet equipment for back, especially 20 years ago. And he essentially would run, he had a fiber because that Mount Victory town was right on the main 31 strip. It went up from Columbus going into Kenton, and that road had a fiber line going through it. So right there where that grain leg was, he was able to get, at the time, we didn't have fiber. We had fiber, but it was very, very early. We could only get DSL at that time. We were waiting for fiber. When fiber finally came into Kenton, that's when we got fiber in Kenton and set it up. That's right. The grain leg only had dial-up, which we were able to get DSL, which was still over the phone line, but they were able to get it to a higher frequency while you were on the phone, which was huge. And now you can actually talk on the phone and be on the internet at the same time, and it's way faster. So that was really cool. So at his house, he basically had DSL, which you couldn't get anything but dial up out in the middle of nowhere. And even then, because the phone lines were so long and far out there, that they would drop on a regular basis. So being able to put that antenna up in Mount Victory, right all the way to his house, he was able to get internet. His neighbors wanted it. Their neighbors wanted it. So the first time I had my first gig, I ran into this guy. And we get to small talk. And where are you from? Oh, well, I'm from up there too. That's awesome. What do you do? Oh, that's what you do. You're a musician and you like to party. Oh, that's cool. I do this. Oh, what? You have your own internet service? Oh, well, it's more like I'm just telling my friends. That's an internet service, my friend. How much do you charge those neighbors? Oh, some of them give me a little bit of money here and there. I'm like, what are you talking about? you're basically an internet service. You're giving services to neighbors and shit. Well, they just give me enough to pay for the internet. I don't have to pay for internet. And in fact, I think I get like $100 a month. I'm like, if you charge each person, he had like 25, 30 people or something like that.
Oh, wow.
I was like, if you charge each of them $40 a month, you're going to start making some money. I'll come help you. And we can start at, because there's a lot of people in Kenton that went high speed. We ended up putting up, we had 4 more towers that we ended up putting up, because the house in Kenton that we rented, that was right on the line of the fiber when fiber came in, because I helped them get everybody to $40 a month and had paperwork, had them sign something, and we would service them if they had a problem. And because that was part of it, is like there wasn't like a real service. So if they had a problem, they had to fix it themselves or wait for Sam to finally be available. So if you're a service and you're paying money for it, well, I better have somebody out here to fix it if there's a problem. Okay, well, now that there's 2 of us, we can do that. It got to the point where I could quit my job and work with him full time. He quit his job and worked for there full time. We had over 400 contractual clients, a little company called Harden Net, and we were doing great. He had this guy named Todd Pease that ran businesses come in. It was like, hey, I'm going to help you guys manage this thing. Then Sam starts talking like, this is really good. We could probably sell this for some serious money. I'm like, don't you dare sell this. We're in the infancy of this thing. You're stupid. Well, one day he walks in the office and Todd and I are sitting in there and he's like, well, I did it. I just signed the paperwork, $250,000. I'm like, you are an idiot. He's like, I get to run the place still. We're good. They end up firing him and having me run the place, because I'm a go-getter. I'm the one that's like, let's make sure this is this way. We need to solve this. So I'm trying to say, I've always, even in a band, I would go into the band, I'd say, hey, we could be doing way better. We could be doing this way, blah, 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 blah. And we'd end up playing, for Aldo Seville opening up for National Acts and shit. I don't know what that energy is. Again, I know I'm going on a long ass tangent here, and I apologize. But essentially, you're putting yourself in the right position, and I know this is off topic of time management, but that first opportunity is what, every little thing.
Time management, though, because you realize the potential in something, and you're like, if I'm going to dedicate 8 hours of my day to something, I want it to be something that I actually see a benefit in. You could have just said, okay, I'm going to go to the job posting board, get another gig, moving computers for these people. But then you saw a potential of something bigger, something where you could be part of something bigger than yourself. And that's what you went out and did. And that is one of the biggest things with time, is realizing, I guess just even it clicking in your head, like time is limited. A lot of people don't even have those thoughts of mortality or just anything along those lines. But once you realize that time is limited and tomorrow's not guaranteed, you realize, if I'm going to be spending my time doing something, it's got to be worth it. And just establishing that in your own, with your motivation behind what you're doing.
Having that working in your subconscious, even like just having it active at all times, to where like that, it's a muscle. It takes practice, and the more you do it, the more it'll become part of your nature. It's just like dieting or anything else, right? So, yeah.
No, I totally agree.
So, taking a break here, I want to take a step back for a second. Objectives is one of the topics that I did want to talk about today. And I kind of laid into that a little bit earlier, talking about what an objective is. And we all have objectives. You should have an objective pipeline for yourself, for the brands you work, and every department within a company should have a pipeline of objectives, personal and work. And having a calendar to look at that has relevant information on it, that you can take those objectives and put in a strategic time that helps you get to where you're wanting to go. That's essentially what we're doing here. That's essentially what a company does. The guys that are on the board aren't saying, how can we make the guys out there on the floor doing the job on the line miserable? No, they're saying, how can we make this as productive and profitable as possible? And if you're lucky, you're working for a business that says, how does that affect our people out on the line? And, I think today we are way more mindful of that. I do believe in the modern slavery thing that they talk about, it does feel like the media tries to keep us stupid, so that way we just consume, go do the robot job, make that 9 to 5, be part of the system. No pudding until you eat your meat, kids, type thing. And I could see why that would feel that. I used to kind of feel that way when I was younger, growing up in a small town that relies on a small factory or a set of small factories, to where it's like, if you get to one of those factories and you get a good job at one of those factories, you've made it in life, kid. With that being the I guess that's the bar that was raised. To me, the bar was set, give any kid TV, that bar is crazy off the charts. But as you get older, that bar just keeps getting lowered and lowered and lowered and lowered. And I'm saying that bar, if you're letting other external things effectively tell you what your bar is going to be, that it doesn't matter what time management means. You time management, why do you need to master your time? You're letting everything else influence yourself. How are you going to master your own time if you're totally influenced by external sources? So what motivates you the most to be part of the creative tech?
I would say, as someone who, is surrounded by other people, I do have a lot of people in my life that are business owners, or they do things that I admire. Another part of that too is like, I want to be part of a community. I want to be part of something bigger than myself, where we can bounce ideas off of each other, because it's so important that your network of people that you're surrounded with have the same goals and ambitions as yourself. And I think that's one of the most important things. We talk about the creative technologist and just, what makes someone a creative tech, and, what is their tech stack, or what are their goals and ambitions. But the biggest thing too is just the whole sense of community, and being surrounded by people that have the same goals, maybe not, exactly the same goals, but you have the same ambitions. Whether your goals are different than mine, we all have the ambitions of reaching those goals. So surrounding yourself by other people that, you've motivated me. Just, we've been talking together for a while, and you're like, hey, I want to do this show. And you were so persistent about it that I had no chance but to say yes. And
that's not true. I mean,
I'm saying for me personally, I'm like, if he's this passionate about it, and it's something that, I was considering, I like the idea.
It's a little contagious. I get what you're saying.
Contagious. That's the best part, is your energy was contagious about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm willing to give this shot if you're this contagious, you're this adamant about it, because, I'm not someone who ever saw myself live streaming to an audience. I was like, that is not my personality type whatsoever.
Oh, we're still not live streaming to an audience, just so you know.
I mean, one day.
Yeah. No, and again, we are still learning this. Again, the guys that are getting all the views, go look. They've been doing this for a hot minute, and go look at where they started. Go find your and again, I think that's all right. So time management is very important. And collaboration isn't something we've really got to talk about much. And it's one of the topics I want to have. And we're going to talk about time management again, because this all comes full circle. In fact, we're learning that there's certain things like a creative tech. We're going to get a definition of what a creative tech is and how it is used. There's all kinds of lore that I have for Ikora. The amount of shit I've written for Ikora and all the different breakthroughs that we had, like I can pull up my business development folder right now, and you can just see the fucking, like, holy shit, there's like a Bible of information in here. But the main point is not everybody's going to, that's what makes me and my companies us, and why we do things the way we do, and the people that we work with, whatever information that we streamline to them, that they adopt and take on and start embodying themselves. You're only seeing a reflection of what this massive back end, lore, that all the documentation, all the one pagers and the guidelines and the handbooks and the graphics that we have to start coming up with, which I am quite excited. We did land on a graphic for the MTP, which is huge. I want to share that with the community real quick, because a lot of what we do here in the community is based off of, to some degree, Ikora and the Master Tech Plan let's see, what was I getting ready to show you? I want to show you, yeah, Lucidchart. I use a tool called Lucidchart. It's kind of like a Visio replacement. And not that I don't like Visio, but Lucidchart is just so much, to me, it's way more robust, and it's not software, it's all web-based. It's so cool. So this is the little graphic I came up with. Let's see if we can get in here. Come on. And this right here highlights what the MTP is. All right. Digital identity. A company, the way you experience a company, the way people, whether it's an invoice that you get from that company, it could be the way they talk to you on their social media. An invoice would be like an internal document, not something that everybody in the world sees. It's not a public thing. Whereas, social media, website, forms or whatever to fill out, that's external. And all your communications, the quality of your communications, that's what this plus sign. I don't know what that. Do you know what that plus minus sign means?
That's what I was trying to look at and see. I think there's a lot of give and take. I'm trying to visualize that.
I'm asking you because that is an actual symbol. I think it's even on a calculator somewhere. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what that symbol
is. That the tolerance? Maybe that.
This guy right here.
Because typically you'll see like a number like 0.05 with a plus or minus of 0.0001. So it's like the tolerance.
Well, I'm using this symbol to talk about, is it positive or negative? Is your digital fingerprint out there in the world, are you happy with it? Is it on the plus side? Or, oh my God, I don't like the way our digital fingerprint looks like right now. I think we're sloppy. This isn't right. Or is it negative? So all of that depends on your tech stack and your workforce. Is your tech stack properly, implemented? Is everybody trained on it properly, which is what your team needs to be able to use it properly? Because I have 365, you have 365. I use it to track and, automate and email and calendar. You just use it for calendar and email, your personal calendar and your email, and that's it. And we're both companies that do the same thing. My fingerprint, because I'm using it for all these extra tools, my fingerprint's much wider and better than yours. Again, that could also it depends on the companies and the people, right? But the same person that does use it for just email and calendar, but you give them the tools and empower them on being able to use it to track things and automate things on top of just email and calendar, you're essentially empowering them to have a much better fingerprint. Does your entire team, your entire organization, are they properly using your tech stack? And how, when they improperly use it, how bad does that affect your digital ID? So this model right here represents what we do. We manage and make sure your tech stack, the P&M, any idea of what that means? Just I know you don't know the MTP very well. I'm just curious if you know what those mean off the top of your head.
Processes and metrics.
So what it stands for is Icora delivers a number of services to its clients. All right. In fact, that's what it was when it was just a service provider, MSP. We would just provide you with Microsoft. Here's your data center. Here's your hosted servers. Here's your security stack. Call us if you have a problem with any of these things. That's your provided tech stack. That's the provided for portion of your tech stack. So P stands for provided, or your provided tech stack. The M stands for the managed side of your tech stack. All the clients that we take on, we manage things that are outside the services we give them. They could have a security system there. They could have a surveillance system there. They could have, a lighting system internally, a door system internally, finance software. We don't provide any finance software. So QuickBooks or some kind of creative agency software like Workamajig or something like that. That's the managed side of their tech stack. We need to know all of that stuff in order for us to holistically make sure that their digital identity is solid. Just knowing the provided portion of it isn't enough. I mean, we know that pretty well because we're providing it to you, but we also need to know, in order for us, because that's what Icora does, is this. an MSP or my partner's business, Jay Gates and Cincy PCS, they manage the tech stack, the provided portion of it. They provide it and they manage that and support that side of it. The managed side, that's something they've kind of always done, but they never built anybody for it. I'm like, that's stupid. If you're managing things that are not something you're providing, then you should be compensated for that. For that responsibility, because if their QuickBooks quit working, Jay's the one getting the heat for it. His company's the one that's getting yelled at, not QuickBooks, and he wants them to call him. And I'm like, but shouldn't you get compensated? Yeah, if I charge them for it, they won't come to me. I'm like, no. If you don't frame it properly for them and let them know why you're billing them for it, then they probably would get upset. But if you set expectations clearly, they're probably going to be like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I understand you got to do that. And maybe you can negotiate a price that's fair and modest for both of you, but doing it for free, I don't know. Unless there's something else on the backside of that like maybe they're getting our phone service and we make, 5 times the amount of money off of them on our phone service. So if you can articulate why they're getting something for free, then, why not just say that with that client? Like, why do you have to? And that's the thing is that you don't have a grasp of everything. You don't have it. So getting with the MTP allows you to truly master their tech stack and understand it, both the provided and the managed side of it. That's very powerful for any MSP out there. And I assure any MSPs out there that ever run across this show or listen to this, hit up Icora. If we're still going strong like we are now, we can probably, get you taken care of. Well, not probably. We will get you taken care of. And I don't care the scale size. I've worked for Whirlpool, Bridgestone, Fifth Third. I've been in some pretty big infrastructures and on the IT side of things. And I feel confident with this master tech plan. And as we evolve and grow, yeah, we can take care of big clients too. And this over here means the workforce. And that's why we started the Creative Tech. There's 2 reasons why we started Creative Tech. First reason is because we got to practice marketing and having content for Icora and the Master Tech Plan. The other reason is because I want to be able to hire technicians and account managers that embody the modern workforce. The Creative Tech theme that I came up with for this channel and for this community was one that would help get Cole involved, even William. Everybody would want to be involved with this because of what it's doing. It's helping us learn and better define what we are doing and giving us tools to get it done.
Absolutely. No, that's a really cool graphic. I like how you explain that and how you frame it. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, we have 3 things that we do with our clients. Currently, there's 3 things. Reviews we've done since day one, since 2016. The reviews are important because you got to make sure that the company is happy with the services you're providing. So you do a quarterly review with them just to make sure things are good. So reviews have always been a part of the process. But once we started taking on the workforce, we had to start, and working with them more closely because there's no operations in these small businesses. We're like, we're going to start doing wellness checks to make sure that the users, we're working with the reviews are with the admins of the company, right? We need to work with the entire workforce. So we started something called wellness checks to align the workforce with their, understanding how their digital identity is supposed to work and how they're supposed to use their technology. Sessions is education. It's how we train the workforce on their tech stack. Wellness checks to make sure that the technicians are effectively using the tech stack. So that way we know that if they're not doing their job right, it's going to affect this. So wellness checks is what we do. Check with the users and ensure that they understand how they're supposed to be using their technology. Reviews, we get with the leadership team to make sure that the leadership says, yeah, our digital identity is going right based off this review. We're heading in the right direction to making this a positive instead of a negative. And sessions is our continuous internal improvement and training program to work with the entire organization on their tech stack and make sure they're aligned there. So if you align them with their tech stack like this, the tech stack should do really well for their digital ID versus where the workforce, if they're really aligned well with their tech stack, they will definitely improve that digital ID. So that's just where this visual is for right now. And again, it keeps evolving and getting better and simplified and dumbed down. And now the this is years in the development and making. I'm going to register this MTP because I don't, I'm not worried about somebody else stealing it, or like if they want to try to reuse it, they can. They'll never have it fully. I'm the essence of what the MTP is. If I get enough people aligned with me, if I pass away, maybe it can continue in some form or fashion. But it won't truly be the MTP unless I'm at the helm. I feel that in. All right, I think I've talked enough about the MTP. We're off topic, and I believe we are over time. We're a few minutes over.
Minutes over.
So, little bit scattered. We really didn't have 3 solid topics. The 2 topics we landed on was collaboration and objectives. And collaboration, we're going to have another session about time management. Is a big part of what a creative tech does, so don't worry. We're going to have plenty of conversations on this over the years. But one thing I would say is knowing how to work with others. One of the things that Icora is doing with all of its clients right now, one of the big things we're trying to push on them is proper calendar management. At your company, Cole, real quick, how many calendars do you have for your work?
We just all essentially we just have the one calendar. Everyone has events that they're set out to, but it's sent to pretty much the whole organization. So there's not multiple calendars you're kind of flipping through.
So they don't have like a main company calendar that just has pertinent information main for the company, like not holidays, unless it affects the company. We're off for Christmas, so that way it wouldn't be here's a Christmas on our company calendar. It's we're off for Christmas this day. That's on the company calendar because it's pertinent to the company. I think it's imperative, and you're not in operations with your company, so I'm curious, as you being an engineer, like there's not one, like if you have to take time off, they don't have a calendar that shows all the time off.
So we got shifts. We use shifts within Teams, and we schedule our time off using that. But as far as like everyone has their own personal calendar, everyone gets invites themselves, sends to all employees. So I guess there is definitely like separate calendars out there, but as an individual that's just utilizing that calendar, it's usually just showing up in my main Teams calendar. So nothing that I have to kind of flip through to find certain invites or anything like that.
Well, larger companies will have like a content calendar, a maintenance calendar for doing maintenance in their facilities or their building. Like, we got to remember to do this. And a lot of times those calendars will be inside of a software, like a facility maintenance program will have a calendar built into it. And hopefully those calendars have the ability to spit out to an Outlook calendar, because a lot of our clients are either on all of our clients are on Microsoft, but we do have some that we bring on that are from Google, but we transition them over to Microsoft. But either way, even Google has calendars where you can have structures and shared calendars and things of that nature. And where I'm going with collaboration is you really should have your individual calendar just for you. And if there's another person that you work with, or a funnel or a pipeline of some sort, that should have a calendar too, that when you schedule something on that calendar, you invite yourself, so that way you're on there and it's also on your personal calendar. And a lot of companies don't understand proper time management. And that's really because individuals don't use calendars in a professional way. As a creative tech, I wanted to get into talk about how we collaborate and use calendars more efficiently and how we break them down. But because of where we are and us being early in our development and still learning to get structure to our shows, and another thing, Cole and I are going to sit down and try to come up with a list of, the next handful of sessions and get those already scheduled and out there. Because this session already should have been scheduled with a description and everything and been sitting out there for a week, so everybody knows, that's coming up Saturday. That's coming Saturday. We didn't post the show that was coming on at 1:00 today until 1:01 when we went live. So that's just where we are, right? We're excited a year from now to look back at this video and watch a session from a year from now. And if we keep this up 52 shows from now, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the delta. You keep using that word, so I'll use it. But yeah, I'm really excited to see see the delta there.
Absolutely. All right. So I want to remind everybody, please go to facebook.com/groups/the creative tech, or just go to Facebook and search for the creative technologist. And the reason why we want you to join is because we know you have lots of awesome things, your own objectives in life that you want to hammer out. And if you're somebody that feels like life is pulling you in every direction and you're not in control, join the group. We're going to go over ways to help you find your passion. And if you already know your passion and you just need help getting there, that's where we're here. We'll meet you where you are, whether it's, I don't know what I want to do yet, or I know what I'm doing, I'm just struggling getting there. Whatever that is, I have experience. Cole has experience. William has experience. We have some amazing people joining the group. Oh, by the way, I gave a speech. I forgot to talk about this in my catching up moment. I gave a speech at the AI event, even though I wasn't going to. And it's my fault. I even got up and said, I wasn't prepared to speak today. I asked if I could speak next time, but I guess Kendra wanted to pick on me. And after the show, I went to schedule the next, I went to join the next session for the next month's May's AI meetup. And when you're signing up for your ticket, it asks you if you want to speak. And I remember last time I did put something in there, so I should have been prepared. I even told the host in front of 200 something people that I wasn't ready, and thanks a lot for the surprise. And she's looking at me just smiling like, yeah, motherfucker, wait till the show's over because I'm gonna lay into you. So I did it once. I realized that, oh my God, I did do that. So I walked up to her. She's like, you. And I was like, oh, before you even start, it was my fault. She's like, I know you. So it was really it was funny. But Kendra is amazing. She is such a talented, patient, sweet woman. And I could see why she's so successful. She's on the #1 page for LinkedIn as a influencer, and she's killing it. And to have her part of the community, and for her to shout us out, which I told her don't do that yet, because next time I go there and speak, I'm going to have a big QR code up on the screen for everybody to scan. It's going to take them to the group for them to sign up for the group. And part of the group, I want to have part of that sign up once we have the worksheet finalized. We'll have that. We need to talk about the worksheet at all today. We got to talk about the database. We're going to have a show soon about audience or creative techs in general, who is our audience, who's our demographic, and really focusing on that. I don't know if that's going to be the next one. Cole and I are going to get together and figure that out. But yeah, facebook.com/groups/the creative tech. Join the group, subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Creative Technologist. And yeah, once we get this form out there, fill out the form. And if you want a session, right now we're open to doing free sessions. Just hit us up on Facebook or something. If you've watched and you want to do a free session, hit us up, and we'll line you up with whatever creative tech that we have at our disposal at that time. We'll align you with the best person to work with you. Or if there's somebody specific you want to work with, we can get you to work with them. So again, Cole, anything else you want to say before we go?
No, thanks for staying on track with the show. I know we were a little bit late today, but we got it done, and I'm excited for next week's.
Well, we got ourselves somebody from Facebook said word up. I'm not sure who that was, but word up. And yeah, we appreciate everybody. If you came out today to check out the show, thank you for coming. And yeah, we will see you guys next week.
Yep. See you next week.
All right, guys, keep it heavy. Keep it real.
Catch you later.